when did the cultural shift happen? Like, when did men start getting qualities of such a beast?
No, because when did we as a society, give up on trying with dating? When did this become such a horrible, chore, and we're just down in the trenches and everyone is exhausted? Because today I talked to a boy on a dating app, and he was honestly, kind of mean and negging me the whole time, and then he was finally like, so should we go get some coffee or on a date? And I was like, no, this was terrible. I honestly thought you kind of hated me at this point. No, I don't want to go on a date with you now. What is this behavior? Honestly, yeah, a big part of it, I think the issue is dating apps. They've essentially ruined dating for everyone. Also would blame red pill content and all that stuff as a one-off, building to the issue of dating apps and piggybacking off of that. We as a society either need to figure out how to fix dating apps or get rid of them entirely. Because I keep seeing women sharing story times from when they were dating in the 90s or early 2000s before dating apps existed at all, really. And I agree, dating apps have removed the element of having to try. My first date I went on, it would have been around 2013, 14. It was wonderful, adorable. I'm pretty sure he planned most of it. I probably helped a little bit, but he picked the restaurant, the movie. We went halvesies at the restaurant because we were young, but it was very important to him that he covered both the movie tickets, and I thought it was adorable at the time. It makes perfect sense. We were in high school at the time, and we didn't really have access to dating apps other than that weird experimentation Tinder did with people under 18 that was a complete disaster and nightmare. And yeah, dating apps have made things so easy that it's actually made it completely impossible because just no one's even trying anymore. Because you know what I miss? My mother and my father, they met back in the 1980s. And not only did they genuinely love each other till death did they part when I was younger, but insanely enough, my mother swears that she was never really interested in dating until she just met him, and it was literally that easy. She just decided to start dating, met someone, and then eventually got married and had kids with him until he died. And how did these two people meet in the 80s before dating apps so flawlessly? Well, she would have been in her later 20s, and he would have been somewhere in his 30s. They lived here in Minneapolis, and since running was really big at the time, everyone in Minneapolis around that age would go running around what's now known as Lake Bede-Makaska and Lake Harriet, as is still very popular to this day. Crazy enough, my mother, who is a huge introvert, right, hardly ever left her home really, was always just reading books, nerd to her core. My father, a classic southern Minnesota small town boy who grew up with a million brothers, so they were kind of nothing but trouble. And he and his friends or brothers must have had a house somewhere near the lake where they were always throwing parties at. And funny enough, my father never really drank. He was always known for carrying around a 6-pack of orange sodas. So if you ran into him, he was always known to have one for you because he didn't drink. And he might have been the only person on this planet that could have told you what J-Lo meant when she said the orange drink, if you know, you know. But as one does in the 1980s, because there isn't texting, if you're throwing a party, they would go to the local Office Max equivalent and have a bunch of flyers printed out. And they would go out passing them around town and kind of pinning them up different places. And my mother said, of course, I'd probably seen your father in passing before as we were jogging around the lakes or seen some of the flyers and never really just thought much of it. Now that's my mother's version of the story so far, but my dad's version of the story, which he told to me when I was 9 or 10, so forgive my memory. He said, yeah, well, you would print out the flyers and then you'd have to find all the prettiest girls in town because those are the people you wanted coming to your party. And he said that he had definitely clocked my mom before and really wanted to get her attention, so he went and tried to convince her to go to the party and gave her the flyer. Now, I don't know if she actually ended up going to the party or if he just was such a good conversationalist that she had the flyer with his number and contacted him later. I assume she must have gone to the party, but all I know now is that my siblings and I exist on this planet and their marriage made it to the very end. Because that man had a mission and he made a plan, and honestly, he's so outgoing and good with conversation that he could have sold water to the ocean. But none of that could have ever happened through an app. And honestly, some of my best relationships happened not through dating apps, unfortunately. So we need to get all that figured out because that is a complete nightmare and I absolutely hate opening them every single time.